Hello and welcome to the Underhive. Thank you for joining me for something else a little bit different today. We're going to be looking at some Kickstarter gems, and this appears to be the best game on Kickstarter front page for just new games right now. This looks to be the most promising. So I wanted to take a quick look at that. So let's open that up here. So the game here is Below the Stone. Now it's already been fully pledged, so they're obviously doing very well. They've obviously impressed a lot of people. 241 backers with 28 days to go. So they've managed that in like a couple of days. So well done to the devs here for portraying it in what is most likely going to be a very good and enticing way. So we're going to take a look. Now I will say I'm just going to be sort of reviewing the Kickstarter page. I'm not going to be going anywhere else to look up information about the company. So it's just what they've got on here. So let's take a look. Now, I might have to cut the audio for this. I'll see if it appears to be their own sound. Hopefully it is. But if there's any doubt about that, I might have to cut the sound for the DMCA. That looks very reminiscent of a cave troll from Lord of the Rings, I must say. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably leave the sound in there. That all around that video, like the sound was really nice, the design really good. I'm getting sort of very Nuclear Throne vibes from the way the game's laid out, with a bit of Dungeon Keeper too, just in like the mining the blocks of ore or stone out of the walls to make areas larger. So yeah, it looks pretty fun, to be fair. I will say I've never been really that taken with Nuclear Throne. I'm not a massive fan of that sort of 2.5D sort of style, but it looks pretty fun. Looks like there's a lot to it. So let's start here with the story. I'm not going to look at stretch goals there. So about us. Below the Stone is a punishing pixel art roguelite about dwarves questing to reach the deepest depths. Each and every descent will lead to new adventures, where only the most determined players with many risked lives will be rewarded by the hidden world that lies below the stone. The game focuses on immersive gameplay, where simple decisions have major rewards or consequences. Unlike many roguelikes before, you have full control over the risks you take while in the caves, and you decide what equipment to risk bringing in order to go deeper. I mean, a lot of roguelikes do like you choose the risks you're taking. Like, it depends what they mean by that. Like, say, like, I mean, Hades is roguelite, but you can choose how much harder you're making the game, but I suppose you don't have any direct control over the base difficulty of the run. So yeah, that's kind of intriguing. But we didn't see any of that in the video, is the issue. Maybe there's more about that below. Below the Stone is developed by a dedicated team at Strollart Studios, who have 2 decades of collective experience in game development alongside our publisher, Apogee Entertainment, behind franchises such as Duke Nukem, Max Payne, Prey, Wolfenstein. Apogee Entertainment, founded by the legendary Scott Miller, are helping to bring Below the Stone to a wider audience and all major platforms such as Steam, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. So fair play to them. They've got Apogee Entertainment backing them up here. So, you know, although This might be a bit of a stretch, really, to actually like get the game launched for that. I hopefully we'll see how many people are working for them, but they say 20 years experience. If there's 15 of them, that's not that much each necessarily. Like one or two are maybe completely fresh. A few of them maybe got 2 or 3 years, but they've not bitten off more than they can chew by the looks with what they're doing. You know, if they were saying we're trying to build an MMO based on dwarves, then 15 grand's not going to be enough, and 20 years collective experience probably isn't enough. But for this, it very much could be. My only concern is whether the budget is sufficient, but given they've got a publisher involved, that seems pretty confident from the publisher to get involved on this, and perhaps it's already ready to go or thereabouts. It's the type of game I wanted to make when I made my Cross games from Scott Miller. Possibly the best base promise for a game about dwarves ever. that makes it quite narrow, doesn't it? But all right. Awarded as top 20 games of PAX East Online Indie Showcase. Below the Stone is a vicious roguelike about the cost of progress. Dwarves seeking fame and fortune choose how deep to go, which equipment to bring in order to risk going deeper, and how long they decide to journey down. But the depths do not let you choose the twists and turns that naturally occur. The enemies you'll face, the dangers within the biomes you travel through. It's in the blood of all dwarves to venture where none have tread before, putting lives on the line during every expedition. Now it's your turn to answer the Earth Mother's call, and your life is only as valuable as what you bring back. So it says here like full control over the risks, but I don't know. I mean, like maybe by that they just mean like the gear you take, because maybe if your dwarf dies, you lose the gear that you actually took with you, and you actually have to make it back to be able to progress in that way. Inspired by the likes of Deep Rock Galactic, Terraria, Stardew Valley, Enter the Gungeon, and many other titles, I'm surprised. I mean, it's similar in style to Enter the Gungeon as well, but I'm surprised to see they've not referenced Nuclear Throne. And many other great titles. Below the Stone strikes a new path with games we've loved before, with unique gameplay, while still paying tribute to the reason they were so fun. You'll be sent below the stone to collect precious resources that your kin request of you on missions. However, you can claim any extra treasures you collect during the descent. Process your ores into refined metals for a new pickaxe, mighty sword, or some shiny armor, and much more. So, here we've got some armor sets, maybe like iron. So like you start as this, iron, steel, something made out of some kind of lizard bone, got some kind of magery going on. This is maybe more sort of spec'd towards finding minerals rather than combat. Got sort of a ranger, and then this looks more like a sort of maybe platinum armor. This looks to me like more sort of iron and steel, so this is perhaps a higher level metal, maybe like mithril perhaps. However, be careful. Any dwarf that dies below the surface is considered unrecoverable, meaning any items that you brought with you will be gone forever, and by forever that means forever. I like that. So you've got to risk something to try and get more back, rather than it being, well, if I just bang my head against this challenge over and over, we will make some progress. So that seems pretty cool. Each descent will be a unique experience through a procedurally generated cave system, with more than 50 planned unique and alien biomes to explore. It's quite a big task, depending what they mean by unique biomes, like how unique are they, but 50 is quite a lot. You'll never run out of new experiences. Each biome will have unique threats, resources, and flora to explore in each region. Our hope is to expand to even more biomes and features to you with this Kickstarter. I don't think that sentence quite makes sense, but fair enough. With each descent, you can also decide whether or not you are prepared to go deeper in your journey. Each layer's entrance will be held within a dungeon as a final challenge to see if you are capable and prepared enough to descend further. Once you go down, you will face a bevy of new biomes, creatures, resources, and environments to explore. Each layer is planned to contain 8 to 12 unique biomes that will challenge a dwarf's resourcefulness and grit. Okay, so there's 5 layers and then several biomes within each. Okay, I like this concept art. That's pretty nice. There are currently 5 cave layers planned, each with their own hoops and hurdles to pass in order to overcome them. Just as a dwarf gets used to conquer a layer of the caves, below the stone will throw an entirely new set of environments to explore and overcome when you choose to go deeper. Procedurally generated, so these are the features. Procedurally generated cave complexes, which lead to a new adventure every descent. Up to a certain point, I imagine. Like with most roguelikes, once you've played them for a couple of 100 hours, then you've pretty much seen everything, but that's fair enough. Plans on releasing 50 plus biomes to explore with unique creatures, fauna, and resources to explore, 5 plan layers to explore, multiple dungeons on each layer to test your metal, full character customization, your equipment determines your stats and abilities, a dwarven kingdom with many important characters to meet, save, and aid, custom cave missions for every descent, roguelike experiences. If you die, you lose everything you would have brought back with you. Tough but fair. Safely store extra loot and resources at the Dwarven Kingdom. An hour-long plus soundtrack to immerse yourself in the fantasy spelunking experience. Release on all consoles. Dwarves, blunderbusses, and fresh shiny things. Digging holes. Diggy holes. At Stroll Art, we believe variety is an important part of any game, and Below the Stone is no exception. This is why artist Mike Strollart, so that's where the title comes from, has dedicated himself to the visuals in this project, where every pixel is carefully decided over in order to make every biome, creature, building, and enemy feel like a unique experience. No corners are cut, and no stone is left unturned. Pun fully intended. That's pretty good. I'm glad to hear that sort of thing, because quite often it'll get to a certain point where they're like, right, this level is fine. Now we're going to reskin it and just make them all slightly harder for the next level. So it's quite cool if they don't do that. The biomes are very important to us, so important, in fact, that all areas have already seen several cycles of visual reworks to get to their current state. Knowing this, we still anticipate room for further improvements to help Below the Stone reach its full potential. Just as we have been on our journey with our own developing the project, we really want the game to resonate with fans in the same way. It isn't simply about reaching the deepest depths after all, it's about what you learn and experience along the way. Dwarven Kingdom is a place for crafting, preparation, and most importantly, storing loot for later expeditions. You have full control over what items you bring with you, what equipment you craft, and what items you choose to keep at home safe and sound. The only catch is if you die, you'll lose all the items you took down to the caves on your dwarf, such is the cost of progress. Additionally, your stay in the Dwarven Kingdom will yield an ever-growing cast of allies to aid you on your adventures below the surface. For example, so we've got like a alchemy witch sort of thing, we've got Mr. Moneybags with a monocle, we've got some kind of blacksmith or forge master, and then some kind of trader here. By the looks, anyway. So maybe it's like forge, bank, shop, and then magic. With many unique friends to meet along the way, your trip to the Dwarven Kingdom will be an ever-growing list of allies to aid your adventures below the surface. A dwarf's best friend is someone who can turn shiny things into useful tools. The blacksmith is a reliable friend you can return home to when you're in need of proper weaponry, armor, and equipment for your future descents. His skills will aid in crafting your newly found ores into fresh equipment to help you on your next trip into the depths, arming yourself for the dangerous realms below. Pet for danger. She looks a bit more of a waifu there than she did just here. little bit more frumpy just there, a little bit more like... Some characters may be encountered underground and are in need of rescue. These folks will be welcome to the Dwarven Kingdom as new companions to help you in the future journeys. You may bump into anything at all, from an elven witch who brews potions to legendary dragon slayers and even necromancers. We plan on the kingdom having at least 10 to 12 important mainline characters you'll be able to save and bring back to help your future adventures. Each of them will add unique flavour to the kingdom and your journeys downward as they give you better chances, modifiers, and even change your playstyle. Stockpile for the next run. Keeping goblins from scalping that freshly trimmed beard of yours is a top priority to a dwarf, not to mention a mark on their honour to keep their hair intact. So make sure you do anything you can to increase your odds of coming back on your next trip. Brand new armor, weapons, and tools will make your missions easier, but be warned, if you die, you'll lose everything. Well, everything remains buried forever. So I'm guessing that means you can't go back there and get it. It's not like a Dark Souls. You can reclaim it as long as you don't die twice. I think if you die, it's gone, which is fine. I don't mind that sort of thing. I like to play things permadeath anyway, so that really sounds quite good. So calculate your risks and use your resources wisely, starting with the banker, your trusted ally, to make sure your items are safe when you decide not to bring certain equipment. Okay, so he just holds on to your stuff. This will let smart and experienced players plan out their future runs well ahead of time, and let you decide if this is the moment you decide to risk it all to go deeper than you've ever gone before in the name of Dwarven progress. Okay, so we'll read more about it, but if there's only the 3 of them, then I'm actually more inclined to believe 15 grand's all right. That's kind of like 2 months wage for all of them. It's probably a bit short of that, but like, you know, if they're perhaps getting a bit from the publisher once it's sorted, like, it's not too bad. Straw Art Studio is the development company behind Below the Stone, inspired by the tough as nails games we all played as kids, like Ghosts and Ghouls maybe, but they haven't mentioned that. Our vision is for our games to be filled with new twists and turns that feel like fresh new adventures every time you pick them up. We aren't a typical game developer or AAA company who ignore their community. We are active every day on our Discord and other social media, talking with our fans all the time. Don't believe us? You're welcome to join in and see for yourself. Our first Kickstarter for Below the Stone didn't quite make the full funding goal, but we managed to meet hundreds of new fans. We got to witness what dozens of our game developer friends can do, and we had dozens of publishers contact us. We always wanted to come back to Kickstarter, and when Apogee Entertainment contacted us as a publisher, we made it a goal to make sure we could come back to Kickstarter still. Much like the Dwarves Below the Stone, we've come back 10 times as strong. Well, I mean, I don't think that's an overstatement. They probably wrote that before this, but I don't think that's an understatement. They've hit 15 grand in 2 days, a couple of days. So, yeah, fair play to them. You know, maybe they hit a high, maybe they were aiming for a higher goal last time, but there's still chance to double that, really, in this time. By pledging to support, you'll be able to expand the scope of Below the Stone and Straw Art Studio as a whole. So I'll just check a look here. So we've got Mike, the director, artist, and producer, Andrew, the lead programmer, and Karam, the lead composer. Fair enough. As the artist and director, Below the Stone has been my life's work, and I'm extremely proud to present the work and story behind the game that all Stroll Art has been working so hard on. So you've got a physical art book. It's a placeholder design, but to be honest, I quite like that. I think that's really nice artwork for a front cover of a book, whatever it is. But yeah, I like that, sort of the name, pixel by pixel. I think that's pretty good. All told, like, if I seen that and I was like, say this didn't come with what you were backing, if I saw that for a few quid as like a DLC to the game, like you actually get the book, you know, maybe 10 quid or something. If I was really into it, I would be inclined to get that after the fact. Like, I know you can get it included with some of these things, but I think that's a really cool idea. And the artwork's really, really good for selling it. The artwork in Below the Stone has been a great point of focus, as any visual medium should be. Like any experienced pixel artist, we know every pixel is carefully decided over in each screenshot. Hours of combined effort have gone into each part of the image, from enemies, creatures, the floor, decor, animations, and of course the entire biome itself. All of these hard-focused details go into each and every biome in Below the Stone. And with 50 planned biomes, we will make sure each descent becomes its own unique adventure for the dwarves who dare to go below. I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, I assume they're like color coded to make it show that the animation is clear, and then obviously they're reskinned for this being the actual enemy. But yeah, that's pretty cool seeing that, because I wouldn't necessarily have known that that's what they'd have been looking at, because I'm not an animator. Every creature in Below the Stone is fully animated, and with each biome getting its own unique creature and enemy, a lot of work goes into making sure they matter. since we know that thousands of people will remember their experience in the caves. I mean, that is pretty good pixel art, I've got to say. Eventually, a finished product is made, birthing another layer of new experiences that dwarves will no doubt remember, from touch-and-go encounters with a cave troll, so it is a cave troll, to wild runaway escapes from giant cave worms. That's pretty good. Often, just as important to the visuals are the sounds of Below the Stone, and Karam will have an opportunity to show his beautiful work below. So there is a soundtrack as well. Hello, Karam writing here. I'm about a quarter of the way through the hour-long and hopefully more original soundtrack for Below the Stone, and chipping away at it steadily. I'm very happy to share a few pieces here, so I hope you're ready to rock. So I'm not going to play the original soundtrack. You can get to it from here. This link will be in the description, so you can always go and listen to it if you want. But we heard a bit of it on that original video, and it, to me, sounded really good. The first piece, Quest the Protector, is something we now consider an iconic piece for the game, plays during the general exploration of the caves. Second piece, Honey Hexagon, is an insect-like, yet strangely happy theme that plays when exploring the beautiful honeycomb biome. Third piece I'd like to feature is Thunderclap, Below the Stone's first combat piece that mixes synthwave and chiptune for a gritty and grungy feeling that still maintains full pixel cuteness. It is a regular combat piece that plays when enemies swarm around you and you blunderbuss them to their graves. Roadmap. Stroll Art plans to release early access of Below the Stone during Q2, Q3 of 2022, so we're roughly a year away from early access. And work our way into full release of the game during the rest of that year and into the next year. So they aim to have it out 2023. The 1.0 full release of Below the Stone will be ported to all major consoles with the help of Apogee Entertainment as publisher. We plan on continuing development past the 1.0 update, adding additional content after the full game releases to keep players who supported us happy. We firmly believe that indie games are a creative forefront when it comes to innovation in the game industry, and we view the extra content as payback to fans who supported us through thick and thin. So we've got the rewards, we'll cover those in a minute. Add-on items, okay. Join the Discord. Long-lasting design. Below the Stone has a work-at-home team, which will be focused on providing updates far past release, allowing for additional content to be added to the already vast gameplay experience as time goes on. And then the rest is pretty standard stuff. So we're going to take a look at the rewards here now. There's still a few other bits to look at. But as it goes, I think this looks pretty cool. I think it seems like they're doing a good job of making the game. I think they've done a really good job with the layout of this. A lot of Kickstarters don't get this right, and it's not that appealing. But this is, and I think partly they failed the first time they got back up. They've come back, done it better. But secondly, they've done this well, and I think it does entice you to want to spend money. So let's take a look at these. There's a lot of different tiers to this. So you can just pledge. $1 gets you a founder role in Discord and a thanks in the credits. $25 gets you a copy of the game, digital, for Steam or Switch, and a founder role. So I'm just going to read the additional stuff each time. So $30 will get you the soundtrack as well. $40 will get you the digital art book. So it's not a physical, it's digital art book. The $50 pledge will get you closed beta testing, sticker set, and the rest. The $65 will also get you a hard enamel pin of a dwarf. The $85 will get you a custom dwarf mug, a gravestone with your name on it, as well as the rest. Presumably that's in-game, not an actual gravestone. The $135 will get you a t-shirt and a physical soundtrack disc, as well as the rest. The $170 will get you the physical art book, as well as the rest. The $225 box will get you the Kickstarter big box of Below the Stone, physical copy of the game, and the rest. $450 allows you to design an NPC and all the rest. $650 lets you design an enemy instead of an NPC. $1,000 lets you design a boss instead of an NPC or enemy. And then I think, have they run out of these? Is that what they're saying? So the the early bird was $20 to get a copy of the game. Fair enough. 1,500 gets you the ability to design a biome, an enemy, and the rest. 3 grand gets you design a biome, design an NPC, design a boss, and design an enemy and the game. And that's it. So I'm guessing they only had 1 slot for that, and they had 50 slots for the early bird special, and 3 slots for the God Under the Stone. And that's fine. They can't have like 1,000 people wanting to design a boss. There's not going to be that many bosses. But I think those tiers are pretty nice. Like, I feel like you're getting decent value all the way. So if we say here that the game is worth $25, $5 for the soundtrack's fair enough. $10 for an art book is, for a digital art book, I don't know. $10 seems perhaps a bit much, because like, I get ones like they have to put the money into designing it, but once they've designed it, the digital art book isn't that much to ship. But it's fair enough. 50 for the beta, fair enough, and then 65. I think it's a bit much. 65 for an enamel pin, but maybe it's really cool and really well done and nice. So, you know, if you're mega into it, fair enough. And then I think if you're paying more than $65, then you're just super into it. So I don't think the value's that important at that stage. So yeah, we'll just check out the last couple of bits here. So Straw Art Studios, a studio raised on games from all generations. Doesn't really tell us much, that. We've done game development projects in the past, but not quite as big as Below the Stone. We want to set a high standard where you open the bag of chips and you don't get half a bag of air. Okay? You get a whole bag of what you're hungry for. Below the Stone is an unforgiving roguelite. So it is roguelite, is it? Because they've said roguelike in other bits. And I was getting the feeling it was roguelite, in that your past progress aids your future runs, rather than you just do the same. Like, you start off at the same point over and over, and the run itself will be different. So it's a roguelite then, okay. About the cost of progress. You enter the dungeons underground as a worker dwarf of the Explorers Guild, putting your life on the line for something much greater than yourself. That being said, your life's only as valuable as what you can bring back. Once you die, you lose everything you brought down with you. Very good. Let's have a look at the FAQs. Will it have multiplayer? Could definitely look at it. It's definitely something to add in the future. Right now we can't confirm. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Can't fault them there. And will there be modding? We do want to provide ways for people to customize the game in a variety of ways without needing community-driven modding APIs. Okay. So they're interested in doing modding, but not too much said. Let's have a look at the updates. So we've got Sparkle's been added in. It's pretty cool. Don't really want to read all that. So 9 people like it. Kerry loves that Sparkle. Okay. Is that? Oh, no, it's not. So they did it in 81 hours. That's pretty cool. So they did it in just over 3 days. Very good for them. So yeah, somebody jumped in with a big donation by the looks. Yeah, no, that's fine. And then comments, let's just see if there's anything. Congrats. But yeah, it doesn't look to be too much on there. That's fine. But yeah, as it goes, I will say I'm not going to back this right now because it's already hit its target. So it's already getting funded without my money. And I'm not particularly interested in any of these other rewards, but I do think the game looks really good. I would be inclined to get it in early access. So once it's on Steam and it's actually something I can play with, because I wouldn't want to pay, what is it, $65, is it? Yes, $50. I wouldn't want to pay $50 to get beta access because I wouldn't want it spoiled for me. It actually looks quite fun. So I wish them all the best with this. I think it looks phenomenal. If you really like it, I wouldn't dissuade you from backing it. I think it seems like a really promising project to back, but I don't tend to pre-order stuff anymore. I've had my fingers burned a few times. So once it's in a position where I would get something to play for handing over the money, I would be inclined to do that for this game. But right now, given that that's a bit far away and it's already hit its target, I don't really see that much incentive to do so, but I can totally see why other people have backed this. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for that. That might be something we take a look at once it's in early access or perhaps fully available. So yeah, we'll look back for this in 2022 or 2023. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time in the Underhive.